I'm just going to keep tabs on it. You know what I mean? Could come in handy.
There you go.
Sweet. All right. Love you.
Cool, man. All right. You're all good on that end?
Yep.
Sweet, dude. Well, thanks for jumping on today. It's
Oh yeah, I'm excited. Thank you.
I'm super pumped to have the convo with you and just to dive in. So, I mean, it's funny because I've been following you for a while, probably since, well, not a crazy long time, but probably like December, even before December, like September last year.
Yep.
And my partner Odell jumped on the ATG program and she was like, "Oh, have you seen this guy Ben? He's doing all this stuff with his knees." And I'm like, "Oh man, my knees are screwed."
I remember seeing you in the background of the videos.
Yeah.
I remember seeing you and her. Yeah.
Oh, that's so good. And then I was like, man, I need to get on this. And then Real Movement decided to do stuff with you guys. And I was like, oh, I've been following, the other Keagan for ages.
Yeah.
And I was like, this is a dream come true. So I was like, I've got to get on this, which is super, super cool. So Ben, thanks for jumping on the podcast today and having a chat with me.
Yep.
And I'm looking forward to diving into your brain and finding out, the what and the why behind ATG and everything you do.
Love it. Can't wait.
So I guess for those that are listening, I'd love to start off maybe where you grew up and kind of like what your childhood was like and how this whole thing came about, the whole ATG thing.
Yeah, totally. Well, I mean, I grew up here in the US. I grew up in California, then my family moved to Florida, but my guiding thing in my life was basketball. I don't know why I became so obsessed with basketball. When you're 4 or 5 years old, that's when I really just got super obsessed and never looked back. And when you're that age, you don't know what genetics are. You don't know what height is. You just see Michael Jordan. You think, oh yeah,
I could do that.
That was my superhero. And I used to race down in the morning before schools when I would wake up and instead of turning on the cartoons, I would put in this video I had. It was this old video from the late 80s, early 90s of highlights, and it had Michael Jordan. And Michael Jordan was playing to this music, and you would see this jet plane and then you would see Jordan enter the arena, and then you would see the plane start to pick up this fighter jet, and then you'd see Jordan start streaking towards the basket, and then the plane would take off, and then Jordan would take off and dunk it. And like, that was my hero. And I can't tell you how many nights I went to sleep just dreaming of that. But I'm telling you what, not one of those nights that I was dreaming about dunking did I ever have the dream of lying half naked on an operating table while a doctor draws with my knees with markers of where he's going to cut me open, and I'm just hoping he's picking the right spots on the right legs.
Wow.
So
man.
That's me in a nutshell. Obsessed with basketball, was everything I wanted to be. And what did I have to show for it? Chronic knee pain starting at 12 years old, that by 14, my friends called me the old man. By 18, I was already out of basketball. I didn't even make it to the end of school playing basketball, multiple knee surgeries in. And when I was 20 is when I first kind of got a drift of knees over toes training. Read about it from Charles Poliquin, legendary strength coach. First video I saw was Keegan Smith, Australian, doing knees over toes training. Now, my knees were so bad off, the rest of my career, in a nutshell, was taking these amazing feats that people could do with their knees over toes and then having to reverse engineer. So my system now, my system pretty well. And the whole next version I'm putting out, because I'm always working on my system, and I just filmed it. I just refilmed the whole system, and now the videos are editing, and I keep Real Movement and ATG. I keep both those groups up to date, and so you'll see all this stuff soon. But I mean, it starts, exercise number 1 is the tibialis raise, where your knees don't even bend, and you're just starting to put that strength back into the dorsiflexor of the foot. Then you get into some different calf work. Then you start getting to where you can gradually even hold the position of your knees over your toes before you even get into something like the Patrick step up, and then the ATG split squat, and then this scary KOT squat. But it's built all the way on a tibialis raise where your knee doesn't even bend, where you're just getting from the foot going back up. So I had to reverse engineer because my knees were not ready to just do a deep squat or things of that nature. You know what I mean? That was excessively painful for me. And so I was just having to reverse engineer one at a time until now I've gotten all the way to now, where 70-year-olds are doing it literally.
I love
with this new route. And now it's kind of like
man.
anyone can start in with this new route and just go from 0 to infinity, as you see me doing, which is crazy. I have some of the strongest knees in the world now, freakish jumping, slam dunking, all the stuff I wanted to do, but it's built on the 0. It's a 0 to infinity approach. You don't even start in, midway at this point. It's reverse engineered all the way back. So
it's so important, hey, because that means, anyone can take that and progress themselves up the ladder.
Yeah. And some will move much faster than others. And so, but anyone now can just start it.
Yeah.
But that is literally my career,
So what do you attribute the injuries when you were younger from? Was it just lack of awareness or like not strong enough?
So first off, 80% of basketball players have knee pain right out the gate.
Ooh.
Number one cause of knee pain and knee surgeries in people under 40 years old is jumping sports. So any sports where you're jumping, second to that is cutting. So even in rugby, soccer, knee injuries are really hitting like epidemic levels.
Wow.
Now, that doesn't mean it affects what we think about on a day-to-day life unless you're one of those guys who's having it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So there's so many millions of people having knee surgeries now. And in my case, you have to consider that my personality by nature is like, if I'm going to do something, I'm going to go way obsessive on it. Right. So my obsessive started around 9 years old when I actually became very depressed around age 9 when I realized I was a short white kid. I'm in basketball games going, this Michael Jordan dream is not, how am I going to do this? Right. So I started seeing examples of guys who had extreme work ethic who were able to make their dreams happen. So I bought every jump program, jump shoes, jump, all this stuff. And I would get up at 5 a.m. before school. And then at break time at school, I would sneak out and do my next plyometric workout. And I basically destroyed my knees by the time I was even 12. So we know that there's things wrong in training. I just happened to have exacerbated those conditions very, very fast. And still from 12 to 18, I was still trying to reach my goal and jump higher. So by 18, what's funny, I couldn't jump any higher at 18 than I could at 9. I couldn't get past this 19-inch vertical, which is pathetic. I think I would have had at least a 25-inch vertical just naturally. That's about average for a person. I was stuck at 19 because it was one knee injury after another in that pursuit, but doing things the wrong way. So I worked so hard, you see what I mean? But on a system that's flawed. And so my conditions just presented a lot faster. What basketball players probably feel like when they are in their 40s, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And they can't bend down and they can't play with their kids and they're on painkillers, hooked on painkillers. And I was hooked on painkillers, icing my knees 4 times a day by the time I was 18. You see what I mean? So it wasn't different for me. It was just fast tracked. Just like anything else, I'm going to fast track, whether it's good or bad. Give me a project. I'm going to fast track it.
That's crazy, man. I can't believe so many people deal with knee pain and it's almost like it's just accepted. It's just like, oh, if you play basketball, if you play NFL, you're going to have knee pain. What are some of the other things that it's just kind of like, it's just accepted that you're going to have, like back pain as well? Is that
yeah,
like
I mean, at this stage, you have to look at in general society, right? You and I are in such an interesting field now where we think we can actually do something about things and we have experience doing something about things. But if you look at the average person, the average setting, even something like you mentioned with back pain, it's almost not like, hey, here's how to bulletproof against back pain. It's more like which chiropractor is best, which drug is best, which back, it's almost not thought, oh, you can just prevent all those symptoms. It's
not preventative.
Right. It's a giant symptom-based industry now of how to handle the system. And that's what basketball players, even when they first hear about my system, they're like, oh, so like different ways to like avoid putting pressure on your knees or whatever, like, you know what I mean? And different tricks. And no, it's actually a method of confronting. It's the only way you really handle a problem is by confronting it. But most basketball players are resigned from the idea that they could actually fix their knee pain. It's more like how to mitigate how to handle the symptoms.
Yeah.
So most people, it's unbelievable when someone realizes I could actually not have knee pain. You know what I mean? And of course, as you said, there's for different sports and different sectors of life, that's going to be, different areas.
It's such a hard, even my transformation, like, so when I was 20, I think it was 24, I got out of the army, or maybe it was 25. And like my knees were in so much pain. Walking was just like,
Jeez.
like just real shit, like really painful. And it was almost to the point where I was like, what the fuck do I do? And
Right.
and I was like,
what do you do?
Lost. I was like,
if you look, you're only looking at
surgery.
things to handle the symptom. I mean, if you just search knees, my goal is eventually when you Google knee pain, that it at least presents something you can do
Dan
about
Patrick,
it, right?
Boom.
Yeah, you know how many times I searched knee pain? I bought every supplement and every, you know what I mean? Like I did everything possible, but everything that was fed to me about my knee pain was only handling the symptoms. So it became a point where I can feebly live through a very shitty life, or I can go try to play basketball and then wind up with more knee surgeries and destroy my, you see what I mean? And so it's just a very rough place to be in. Yeah,
man, that's super tough, but and even like when you've got that knee pain, it's so hard to look beyond and be like, oh, I can fix this, and find, like you were saying, find something that's actually going to work and almost prevent what's happening to you now in the future. Because it honestly does feel like everything's lost. Hey, you're just like, well, if I can't do my thing, then that's it. And that was a big reason why I got out of the army, was because I just, couldn't do my job anymore. Similar to a lot of sports people, they're like, well, my knees hurt, my back hurts, can't do it anymore. I've got to leave, or whatever. It becomes so much anguish. You know what I mean? It's not like it becomes where it's not worth it mentally anymore to be putting yourself through that misery. Totally. It's cool that, so I remember listening to a bit of your story about when you were starting ATG and you were taking in clients and like getting paid like dirt, right? And you're doing like hours and hours. I had worked it out to like $7 a workout. I was personally training people. Man, I never made any money. I never made any money. I kept the lights on, and I got lucky as shit that I bought a building really low, and now it's like doubled in value. So I made no money as a trainer, only in real estate. How did you keep going through that period? I mean, I didn't give a shit. In the moment, I was happy as hell, I was helping people with their knees and stuff, and I was super stoked. And in my mind, I always played the long game. I always thought I was always working towards something with a long-term future in it. When you're 9, you don't start training at age 9 for the short-term gratification. You think, oh, I'm going to make the NBA and cash in, right? So for me, going through that grind and trying to train as many people as I could, like I made it a goal for myself. Just like when I was a kid, I was like, I want to go to sleep at night and I want to know that there's just no way any other fucking kid out there is working as hard at basketball. Yeah. And so I wanted to know, and I really looked around, and I'm convinced to this day that no one actually personally trained as many people as I did on the planet. So if you want to be really good at something, that's a good jump. Right? It's a good, if you got to live a 48-hour day while everyone else lived a 24-hour day, you'd have a huge advantage. And so that was my first advantage. And then the fact that I did this, if I would have lived a normal life and had my knees broken down at 40, it would have been too late to really get in aggressively and figure out the stuff I did. Because of the fact that I damaged myself so young, I was still young enough to be able to regenerate when I did hit right solutions. You know what I mean? I was still young enough to be able to do crazy shit. You don't just walk in and like accidentally do a KOT squat and stand back up. You know what I mean? You have to be a little crazy, and you gotta work through I had to work through a lot of rough, gnarly stuff in my own body. So I was at least young enough to go through that. So with me going through it every day, and then with my clients, I would only share the stuff I found that didn't hurt at all. You see what I mean? So I would use my body. My body was the guinea pig, and then I would share with my clients. So I was very happy because I was getting such good results that I knew it would pay off. I knew I would end up training pro athletes. I didn't know that, in my nature is I just really like being able to help people who were in the situation that I was in. And now for me, that started at a young age.
So it's just hard for me to charge the big bucks for personal training. I have nothing against it, but when I see a 13-year-old kid with knee pain, it's like, fuck, man. You know what I mean? Like, I want him to be able to benefit from my services. So that's honestly why my prices were super low. It's not like people weren't offering to pay me more. I was just going after this target of people with knee pain. So when I figured out the online, that allowed me to keep the price low, and it's like everything just fell into place. And I've stopped training anyone in person now for money. I haven't done so in a while. Okay.
Yeah.
And one of the last times that I did, I was training an NBA player on an $84 million contract. I want you to think about this for a second. $84 million. And I overheard him talking, and his next career goal was to get an even bigger contract because he only had like a 6-car garage, and he wanted like a 16-car garage. And his dream was to be like mid-30s, single, and just living it up. And I'm like, so wait a second here. So if I do my job well, he's going to have more money for drugs, hookers, and cars and bigger garages to fuck these bitches. I'm like, fuck that shit. So I stopped training the guy, and I never looked back, and I've been online ever since. And you know what's funny is I train more pro athletes online now on my $49.50 a month system than I ever did in person, because I think my heart is really in it when I can do it on my own terms. And then the people reaching out are the people who really want it. They really want the data. And for me, charging to the highest bidder, regardless of what they're going to do with that money, that's just not for me. I think I'll return to it. Me and my wife have an idea that like one day I'll return to training top athletes in person, right?
Yeah.
But to train with me, you'll have to make like such a massive fucking donation to like some charitable group to even get a shot to train with me. Like, oh, you want to train with me? That's awesome. You have to donate like $100K to your local dog rescue if you want to train. I'm not even
That's
fucking
so
kidding
dope.
you.
I love that.
Because can you feel how bad I felt in that moment morally when this guy who's getting great results, but what's the goal with getting those results for him was doing more damage in society, in my opinion. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it didn't have, there was no heart behind his goal. And so anyways, it's interesting the journey there. And it's also interesting that when you really find what's true to you and you're passionate about it, I think your business is going to go a lot better. And to be quite frank, I actually did a lot of the people I trained in person, 90%, I did really enjoy training, and some of them even doing personal training at higher prices, which I did from time to time to keep the lights on. You know what I mean? And I really enjoyed that for the most part. And many of those were actually amazing people. But in my field of sports, it gets a little bit tricky because of, what people are going to do with that money, and I just knew I had to regroup. I had to get out of the personal training and kind of return to it when I can do it on my own terms and make sure that the people doing it are actually going to be, look, if I'm going to make a guy go from 80 million to 200 million, that shit better help society. You know what I mean?
Totally, dude. I 100% agree with that. Like, it's so hard sometimes in our work, especially when people, or even when people don't even appreciate their body, but they kind of just want the result of something, but they're not looking after their health in different ways either. Like,
I want a six pack, but I don't want to eat healthy, and I don't give a shit about my flexibility.
Yeah, it's like on the same concept, It just doesn't make any sense. And trying to train those people is just so hard. The six pack is so
sustainable when you do care about your health, and you know what I mean?
Totally.
So I definitely had a fair share of that too. It's like, I'm trying to help someone get healthy, and they're like, I feel like you don't give me enough arms in my workouts or whatever.
Oh man. So you've gone from training people in person to ATG, and then you've fully taken that onto the online part and grown that online section. How important was the team during that transition with ATG?
Yeah. So you mean in terms of my internal ATG team?
Yeah.
So
like
you have to have people who are passionate about it like you are, because when I started this, it was a concept, and any business advisors who would listen were like, if you charge less than $99 a month for that, like, it's just too little. You're not going to be able to make a business out of it. And I'm like, all right, fuck you. I'm going to do half that.
Challenge accepted.
Right. Challenge accepted. So So I started as a concept. I was just doing it myself, and I was seeing the process. Can I get the result online that I can get in person? And the first thing I found is that I have to see the form of what they're doing. And so that's a staple part of what we do is the form coaching. Now we have, on average, under 2-hour response time, 7 days a week, 24 hours a day, under 2-hour form coaching response time with experts who went through the system themselves, who were on. Anyone I've hired, I found the best hire is someone who really like reached out because they were so passionate about the system that they wanted to work for me. So
that's awesome.
Every single guy, even from the guys you see on Instagram, Mr. Infinity, the Flexible, Basketball, those were all clients of mine at ATG before, they became faces of ATG.
Yeah.
So.
And you had a team before that. Hey.
Yeah.
It didn't work out so well.
They didn't like they thought I was going, they just wanted to stick with the way that things were, the traditions. And I wanted to innovate and make something better. And they thought, kind of that it was normal and expected to have these pains that I wanted to figure out how to fix. And they didn't believe in this low price. They told me, I never even fired anyone. They walked because they said $49.50 was too low.
Wow.
Their cut now, they would be making literally 10 times as much as they're making with their new business if they had stuck with me. But so I got guys who believed in it, in the vision, right? And they believed in the purpose over the profits. They wanted to be able to help people for an affordable price. So that's what everyone on the team has in common, is that even for me to this day, the money is still secondary. The money only represents your value. So do I want to make $100 million? Hell yeah, because that'll represent my value of having helped a million freaking knees. You see what I mean? The money is there. The money is the validation of what you're doing, but it's not about the money. So the best pro athlete I ever trained mentally, that was his thing. It's not about the money, but it's all about the money. He would have played his sport literally for free, but to him, he wanted to be valued on a good contract because that represented his worth to the team. You see what I mean? So, but it was a totally different thing for him. He would have done it for free. The only reason he even needed money was to take care of his family. And that's exactly what he's done. So I was really fortunate that he was actually my first pro client. And so I think he really helped me understand what it's all about, because I was able to see him get to the highest level of the NFL, which is huge in America. Highest level of the NFL. And yet he still had integrity. He still did it for the right reasons, took care of his kids. He didn't have material needs himself. And it was really amazing that he was my first guy. And I think that helped me a lot make my decisions. And he even supported me going online, even though that meant I was going to be, that meant I was going to be giving up training him, and so, so having people around who see your vision. And now we have, in less than 2 years, we have over 4,000 active clients, which is absolutely my career goal.
Insane.
Career goal was to, all my vision boards everywhere, the code to my house, everything was 2,000. Because I thought if I could get and maintain 2,000 clients, that would be a really successful career. Like if I could just maintain that, I'd be making a good living. My staff would make a good, and now we're already double that. We started the year at 1,500. We're already over 4,000.
Oh man, that's insane.
Right. And to this day, my only material purchase is $1,000 scooter. I went to the store to get a Vespa, and the Vespa's like 5 G's. And so then I looked on like Yelp or whatever and found a place that was doing like knockoff Italian Bintellis for 1,000. That's the only thing I've bought for myself. So
is that what you're riding around in now?
Yeah. All my staff drive nicer. Yeah. All my staff drive nicer cars than me. I have the worst vehicle on staff, $1,000 scooter. But that's what it's, to me, I have to keep with what was working. Right. And what was working for me is doing it is not doing it for the money. You know what I mean? And so I'm just staying with that, and it's working really well. And I'd rather stick on that and then put away money to be able to take care of my future family. My wife's 7 months pregnant. So of course money's going to be needed, but
congratulations.
It's like, so the longer I can ride this wave and be in a good frame of mind and not get swindled into thinking that material possession is the secret to happiness. Yeah. I mean, you can talk to me, like you can see I'm in a pretty good mood. But this is how I always am. Like I'm pretty happy even without stressing material stuff. It's a big trick.
That's cool, man. I love that. it's so
Yeah.
important to have good energy all the time, because if you're a trainer, you know, that's what people go to you for. And
Yeah.
yeah, you know, that's the stuff that they want.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's
So
interesting when you practice something, you can force yourself to be in a good mood, and it may be hard and you may not really be in a good mood, but you can force yourself to, and eventually it just starts happening. I had to do that for clients. You know, it's like I'd be training first client at 4 a.m. and last one at 9 p.m. and like with no energy, and yet still wanting to like bring it. You know what I mean? I brought it. I can proudly say that everyone I ever trained in my whole career, I freaking brought it. I never took a session off, ever. And I would see other coaches do this, and in my mind, I'd be like, how can you do that? How can you be that? How can you not care and bring it for your client? You know what I mean?
Yeah. That's massive
But
drive.
force yourself to do it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Be exhausted. Try forcing yourself. Act.
Yeah.
Act interested. Act. And you know what? Before you know it, you're in that session. You're like,
like, yeah.
right? You know what I'm talking about, though,
Yeah,
right?
yeah. Totally.
So, yeah.
Instead
That's
of
a good
getting
tip for trainers.
yourself into like a negative mental spiral and like, oh, I can't believe I'm here. This sucks. Like, I'd rather be at home, or why am I training this person?
Act interested, and you'll find yourself interested before you know it.
I love that. That's dope. So it seems like, you know, you've made some massive innovations in the last 12 months, let alone the last, you know, 6 years. What's coming for ATG in the next?
Oh my God. The innovations in the last week. I can't wait to get this shit out. The effectiveness of knee ability is about to double. I'm telling you.
Wow.
Wait till you see these videos. I've reshot everything. It's unbelievable. So much innovation. I'm like, I just hope my videographer doesn't get like hit by a car on the way home.
Yeah.
Like that she's like safe and just gets these fucking videos out into the universe.
So how did you create space for this innovation?
So what I try to do is I try to force myself into positions where I need necessity to grow. So that's why I'm not at ATG right now, because what really bothered me is how many people have knee problems, and my system is based on having a gym, which that will never change. That'll never change. But with coronavirus and with people who travel, there's just a common need, not to mention the other side of it, which is there's still people who start out and they're so low off that they just really mentally, I think, have a tough time getting into my system, because they see what I can do and they feel so bad they can't do it. So I really wanted to figure out, okay, how do I rework my system from 0 up so that people can really feel good? Like when they start the first workout, it's not like exercise 1, you can't do this, so skip that. No, it's like you can definitely do exercise 1. You can definitely, you know what I mean? Like, so I call it knee ability 0. 0 weights, 0 equipment, and 0. It starts at level 0 that anyone can start it. So it's like, how great is that? If you need 0 weights, 0 equipment, and you can do so you could literally just pick up the first video and just start working out. You could just be watching it and start doing it.
That's sick.
It's so accessible. So I've reshot all this stuff as knee ability 0. So what I did is I put myself away from ATG. So I haven't touched a weight in a month.
Yep.
Now I'm right on course with knee ability 0. And now taking what I've learned from knee ability 0 to go into knee ability strength to now add the, I'm probably going to call it like loaded knee ability, like adding load and like make some dope videos. Like, I don't know, like loaded knee, you know, you got to play the marketing game. You know, it can tie in there with bulletproof knees and loaded knee ability. I don't know. It could be something, right? But I'm really trying to get the concept across with knee ability 0 that it really just means that you can just start, that anyone can do it. Not like, oh, knee ability, body weight. Yeah, you don't need weights, but you're still going to need equipment and you're still going to need super strong knees even to get started. You know what I mean? Like, I'm really trying to be clear, like fucking 0. So building on that, Tuesday next week, so 6 days from today, I move into a different house from where I am now. I picked a place now where it has a great view from the top, so that I'll just go up there. So I've just been going up there every day, just trying to figure shit out and figure shit out and figure shit out. And it took me about a month to figure shit out, and I got it figured out. So I got that shot on Monday. So just in time, thank God that I got that figured out. I move into a house on Tuesday that has no fucking view, but has a great big empty garage. So I'm gonna go through the process of building a gym from 0 to full end product gym. So I'm going to take this garage. I'm going to buy every piece of equipment one at a time, starting from the least expensive, right? So say you're a person in your house, or you're a trainer who wants to start training people out of your garage. That's how I got started. I think it's a great way to start. Or you just want to start building your own gym, whatever. So you want to make a gym. Where do you start? So I'm really going to go live that. I'm going to have nothing.
That's awesome.
It was so easy for me having a gym to say, oh yeah, put down this and that. I mean, and as you know, that can take months and so much work to buy these certain things. So it's like, so now I'm going to go from the knee ability 0 to knee ability loaded and build a gym. So I'm going to build a gym here in LA from 0 to end product, and then give it away to members in the area when I'm done.
So sick.
And hopefully Corona's changing everything. I was hoping to, be able to catch some wicked workouts in my gym that I built here, but we'll see.
Yeah.
But you get my point. So even there, I'm forcing that necessity on myself. Maybe I'll figure some shit out to save people a lot of money when they want to get started training clients or training themselves with weights,
Totally,
I don't know what I'll figure out, but I know I figured out a ton in the last month, and you're going to see some differences. You're going to see innovation on the KOT squat, which is going to improve the hell out of that. For instance, like it's a different progression now on KOT squat, which is so simple. When you see it, you're going to be like, fucking hell, why wasn't it? Like it makes, it's not that the current version isn't good, but this version makes so much more sense for progressing KOT squat. And so, but these are things that I just never figured out without just forcing myself, into that position.
Yeah. It's sometimes tough. Like when you're so busy doing so much, it's hard to sort of sit back and go, all right, let's look at the whole picture and let's really start to dial into certain things and improve them. And that's probably, it sounds like what you've, done, almost pushed yourself into that
the convenience
situation.
Exactly. And the convenience, of things can actually like limit you, getting out and innovating. So I believe that putting necessity level on yourself is key,
Yeah. That's cool. What's your morning routine and like a daily routine like, and what do you fuel yourself with? What do you eat? I'm curious to know.
Sure.
Coffee or not?
I'll try to describe it as exactly as possible. I mean, by far most important, you see me posting it on Instagram all the time, is wins that people send me. Like that's my number one fuel. Like I'm hungry and greedy for wins, right? Like we got to be greedy for something.
I don't need to eat.
And if I'm going to be a selfless kind of person, you know what I mean? Well, I'm still greedy and boasting and confident and arrogant. If I'm arrogant about something, it's about posting wins, you know what I mean? That people send me. So that's my overall fuel. But an exact day-to-day structure, I don't wake up by an alarm. I wake up by my dog. I think it's one of the coolest things. My dog is an asshole, and he wakes me up every morning like early as fuck. This morning was 4:45 in the morning. He's like amped for life. And so having a dog is great because I'm not a morning person at all.
Yeah.
And I'm not a morning person, but he is just like so amped for life that I can't even help but start to get jacked up, from him being all excited. But I'm still like, man, if I haven't had my coffee, like, don't even ask me a question. Like I'm going to be like half retarded. So I take him for what would that be? I don't know, a couple kilometer walk.
Yeah.
No, quite a few actually. What is a mile is
1 point.
Anyways. Yeah. 1.6. So
7,
like about 3 kilometer walk. So I take him for a walk, and that I just kind of stumble around like waking up. But the walk for me is key to my process. So when I go on my walk in the morning, and I love it, like no one's up yet. Like I'm just walking around. No one's even out. No cars are going by. It's just like the world's not even awake yet. And the thing about my morning walk that's key is I'm not checking Instagram. I'm not answering client messages yet. I'm not doing any service kind of functions in the sense of like, repeated things, cyclic thing. No. I'm looking at my projects that I have upcoming. I'm looking at like, that's like my creative time. Like because you're on a walk for a fucking hour. What are you going to do? You got nothing to do. But instead of giving myself something to do, I keep myself having nothing to do. So all I have to do is be inside my own head thinking. Just go think for an hour. And it's amazing the shit you can come up with when you just think for an hour. So I've been thinking for an hour every morning for over 2 years, ever since I adopted my dog. So
that's awesome.
So for me, that thinking walk is the key part of my process every day. And most of my innovations have come up on walks with my dog in the morning.
Yeah.
But then I'm coming home, and usually I'm pissed off because nothing in LA is even open yet to get coffee where I am. And so either I'll have like a little small cold brew that I have in the fridge, or I'll wait until 7 a.m. for places to open and order some coffee. And I'm a big believer in like valuing your time and your productivity. So as soon as I can like, afford for a little convenience, I'll take it just so I can work. I love being able to get right to work. And I tip the hell out of people. So I'll pay like $30 just for a small coffee, just because you're paying the delivery charge. And then I always give these people a great tip. Like, I'm not going to be a dick, order one coffee and then give them like a 10% tip on it. You know what I mean? Like, so, but that's my normal morning routine. And then my wife will often cook breakfast. I'll keep like some grass-fed beef sticks. I got some hazelnuts here, like pretty dense stuff, so that if I am hungry in the morning, man, you can put down like a little of that, and it's just like so much dense calories that you're not going to be hungry, but she'll often cook breakfast. So then I like to get right to work on my client messages first thing in the morning. I'll do them first thing in the morning and then last thing in my day. So first thing in my day, last thing in my day. I never let a client message go longer than 24 hours. And when you have 4,000 clients, that's a lot of messages. That doesn't mean they're all sending me a personal question that day. We have our standard lines of operation where we coach the form, and we all break that up. And then, like I said, I hire from within guys who absolutely love that job and getting to give back to the system that gave back to them. And
so how many do you personally have to do in the morning?
In terms of client messages, it's usually 100 or so in the morning and 100 or so in the evening.
Wow.
So right now we use WhatsApp, and I have like quickie notes set up on my computer. So if I type like V knee, it'll send like my knee video or A this, or, some of them end up sounding funny. Like my agility video, I got to type in vigility, and then it's it's a weird moment, vigility, but whatever, so
that's great.
Articles, video. So whatever someone's going through and they have personal things. I've written so many articles and videos, right? It can be hard for a person to, as hard as I work on my site, there still might be resources they're not aware of, or just personal things that they're wondering about. I mean, so many different questions anyone could have. I like that people still know they can reach me personally on anything.
Yeah. That's cool.
Yeah. So that's definitely a big chunk of the morning, but like I consider that my job, like I get paid well for this. So I enjoy, if I'm going to be an online coach, I need to try to give the best possible service. So I do that. And then when that's done and my coffee's kind of kicked in, then I like to go kind of do my experimental workout, whatever I'm working on, and train, and then come back and write. And so whether I'm writing for articles or I usually like to write right after I work out. Like when I'm feeling cocky, testosterone's pumping, and you know what I mean? Like, that's when so I try to set things.
Your emails do come across like that.
I try to set myself up for success. I usually just finished like some crazy KOT squats run that I'm like, if you can't fucking do this, you better. No, I'm just kidding. But no, but I try to set myself up for success on what I'm doing. Yeah. And I'm trying to write with passion. And so I do it literally, right after I work out is usually when I write. And then, then it's afternoon time, and like we are right now, like I'm doing, podcasts and stuff like that. I try to schedule them a little bit like similar things. So like I just drank down like some organic yerba mate tea. So I'm like a little jet. I try to set. I also don't want to be dull on a podcast, right? Yeah, so it's like totally. But I try to do coffee AM, tea PM. So there's not as much caffeine in this as coffee. You know what I mean? Like, if you get different kinds of teas, you can still get a jolt of caffeine, but it's not as much as the coffee. So I try to at least be smart about that. And same thing with some different stuff around. I mean, you can grab, something like that and kind of keep going. Yeah. So I'll keep going with that. I'll sometimes put like some good like roast beef or something I can have cold in the fridge and go get, you know what I mean? But I really don't like stopping my day too much to eat. So if I like a meal, if I can't keep typing and throw a beef stick in my mouth and keep going, you know what I mean? It's a little bit too much of a stop for me, productivity wise. Plus I think it's, you end up eating these kind of dense protein and fat, which for a lot of us works really well. I think everyone's different. I don't try to evaluate what someone's diet should be. And my general philosophy is more of an equator style diet where you are eating more according to your genetics. And quite frankly, whiter, paler people who evolved more northern, I see doing better on these meats and fattier foods. And when they do have vegetables, more greens, when they do have fruits, more dark fruits and stuff. That's still monitored by, hey, if I'm outside in the heat, living near the equator, I may pump in some coconut water or mangoes or something that is more equator style. So hopefully that makes sense. But the point is, I do very well on dense fatty and protein type stuff, rather than a lot of high carbs during the day.
Yeah.
And then let's see, after this, I mean, usually this would be it. I kind of I set myself up to like overwork for a few weeks here because I wanted to like not have to do any podcasts once it gets into the time when my wife could go into labor.
Yeah.
So I'm talking with the other Keagan Smith after this, and then we'll probably have like, even more. So usually, honestly, that would be like a bit mentally, I like to be sharp for what I do. You know what I mean? So normally I would not try to book 2 podcasts in one day. I did that yesterday and I feel bad because the second one, my brain was like fried and you know what I mean? So I do think the daily routines I think your routines are important to set yourself up for success. So
totally. And you've got these rules that you try not to step out of because you know that you're not going to be effective in that role when it comes time to step up to the plate.
Exactly. So then usually after what we're doing right now, then I would be able to get to my client messages and it feels good at the end of the day knowing, boom, I answered them all. And honestly, with as many members I have, the next one pops in, so it's not like an instant thing, but keeping that under 24 hours is really important to me. Yeah. And if I empty them in the morning and empty them in the evening, it keeps things going along. Most people are honestly grateful to even have me doing that. And let's face it, if you look at the time I'm putting in back when I had 18 clients, well, they were also super stoked because that was even more hands-on. So it's still, it's cool that your value will still be relative. When I'm over 100,000 followers. Now, when I'm over 1 million, if I can even still answer my client messages, they'll be stoked with that. You see what I mean? Even if it's a longer. So you're still, if you don't raise your price and you just scale, then everyone's really happy. People still get a great value. And then you also are able to get valued more for your work by doing better and, greater service. So
yeah, that's awesome.
So like that would be a normal day for sure.
Do you have, so apart from your morning walk that you do you have any other kind of like mentally down-regulated time where you just kind of like stop and evaluate and then get back into work?
I realize actually that then I always take my dog for an evening walk as well. And so usually then I'll either think about things, but I'll often do like calls then, kind of check in on the business, stuff like that. My mom runs like the customer service side. So I'll give her a call, stuff like that. Like that's a good time for calls. Yeah. I'm not going to do calls in the morning before my coffee, bad shit would happen in my business, but, so yeah, that's but I mean, that would, so it's almost like I try my day almost like parallels itself. It's almost like walk, client message, creative, you know what I mean? Client message, walk, you know what I mean? Like it almost just, it keeps it, but these routines really, really help me keep the quality good.
Totally.
I'm not a superhuman. So I have to set myself up for success.
You seem like a superhuman.
Yeah. But you see with that schedule, when you get everything just right, you know what I mean? And honestly, right now, probably the most important part of that I didn't even mention, and that's I'm doing a 1-year entertainment cleanse. So it doesn't mean you can't study educational content, but no TV, no movies, no video games, no entertainment of any kind. Yeah. So again, that doesn't mean you can't do learning things, but nothing where you're just saying, let me veg out and just have that inflowed upon me. And that's a common thing. I love TV shows as much as the next guy. You know what I mean? So when I do that, I really set myself up for success. And knowing that I was coming here and wanting to innovate more and make new projects, I was like, so like a month before I left ATG to come here, I was like, okay, I got to do another year. And I did that two years ago. I did a full year of it, and it really helped me get ahead. That's when I came up with the Kneesovertoesguy thing and, you know, kind of took Instagram by storm and set myself up for success. So I'm doing a year of that. I'm like 2 months in, and it's fantastic because you know what it does. It forces you to get good sleep. You end up getting better sleep because you got nothing to fucking do at night. So, you know, how many times is it like 10, 11 at night, and then we watch something on TV, you know what I mean? And like,
not a good routine.
But that's my normal. I'm just like I'm as normal as it gets in these kind of things. So I have to create rules that bypass that. So it seems like a sacrifice at first. It feels kind of weird at first, but then you get into this routine where you're not relying on those things just being put in upon you. You're not just, you're just making your own happiness instead of waiting for something to give you happiness. And that's also key for me for diet. So for me, these go hand in hand. The TV and the cheat foods go hand in hand because they're both doing the same thing. They're both saying, I'm not really able to fully make myself happy. Let me lay back and put in the Seinfeld and put in the donuts and let the happiness. And maybe it's not Seinfeld for you, but you get my point. Is you're asking, like, what is eating a donut really? Like, you're asking for something else to make you happy. And I love the cheat foods. I love cheat foods and I love TV. But if I'm in a period in my career where I'm going, I need to get ahead right now. That's like my secret weapon. Because so few are doing that it really gives me a leg up. So then I'm falling asleep at 9:30 at night. You know what I mean? So then when my dog wakes me up early as fuck, I'm like, awesome. I'm getting a head start on my day, getting way better quality sleep because I'm going to sleep when the sun goes down. You know what I mean? So it's huge, and I would never do those things. And then if I was staying up later and he's still waking me up early to take him for a walk, then I'm just going to be, you know, having all kinds of symptoms, not enough sleep. You see what I mean? So it goes hand in hand for me that if I'm going to try to do a sketch like that, I have to go a period of no entertainment.
Yeah. I love
that.
So
that was like a full day for me right there. And at night, me and my wife will like have dinner. Like that's the meal I like to just kind of eat my heart's content. You know, the work is done. I can satiate, satisfy. And you know how you kind of knock yourself out with food when you eat a ton. And for me, it worked. Like then I'm just like ready to sleep.
You're like, I'm done.
Right. It doesn't mean I'm eating bad food, but it just means like during the day, I'm not trying to think about food. So I'm trying to just put in enough to like not like be hungry. You know what I mean? Not trying to starve myself, just staying in my work. But then at night I can enjoy more and eat more. And I mean, that would be a day. And me and my wife would, you know, sit in bed chatting or whatever. I have a work phone. And then I have a separate phone that doesn't even have a phone number. Like it's just you know, because you want to look stuff up or whatever on your phone. And so like whatever, you know, we'll putz around like on that phone sitting in bed so that like I can't even, it has no number. It just has Wi-Fi, you know what I mean? For whatever. Looking at,
That's often cool. I haven't heard people doing that before.
Yeah. So we'll often look, I like having like super crazy goals, even if we're never going to do it. So we'll be like, I don't know, like looking at like what would be like the perfect house we would ever want to live in, you know, just like fun, creative things like that.
Yeah.
But we can sit there on this phone that nothing comes in, you know what I mean? Because then that's the stuff that keeps your mind going. And then, you know, you stay up later working on it. And so it just shuts that off. Like I leave this, you know, at my work desk.
That's cool.
Yeah.
That's cool. Is there anyone else doing anything like ATG at the moment? Or anyone
You mean like on the market?
Yeah, like, or
I don't think anyone's really, I do think I was the first to kind of have a concept that you can keep an affordable price and you can still like actually coach form and have high service. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so I haven't seen anyone jump in on doing that. You know what I mean? I haven't seen it yet.
That's awesome, man. You're pioneering the way. Pretty much.
I appreciate that.
And everything that comes out is super high quality and it's really thought out. It's direct. It's concise. Like you just can't beat it. I did like, and your videos, your videos are just so simple. You're just like, oh yeah, that makes sense. Or like, oh, I get it. It's not hard. It's not too thick. It's not too much. And you've broken it down so much. So like you were saying with the progressions and regressions, you've done so much work on that it's, you know, you can be at any level and understand exactly what you're talking about. Jump in, do it, and progress from there until you get to a point where you know, fix yourself. And also love that you've brought in, you know, like the flexible, to do a lot of the flexibility and mobility work, because personally, I think that's such an important part. And for me, often I'll have like referral pain from a really tight quad or something, or my hamstrings are just jacked up and I've got a pain somewhere else in my body. And I'm like, why is it hurting there? Oh, maybe it's because I did deadlifts yesterday, or maybe it's because I did, you know, heaps of KOT squats and my calves or my quads are jacked or something like that. So I love digging into those different parts, and I love how many different sections that ATG touches on. I feel like you guys have built such an awesome program that just touches on everything, right? Like it just ticks every box.
I appreciate that. Yeah, it's not like you have to work as a team, but it's something where, you know, if I can work as a team with guys, then I can just provide a higher value. You know what I mean?
Totally.
So, and there was a lot of other guys that I liked as well, but like we kind of formed, and it's just like, all right, we can hit a lot, we can check a lot of these boxes. You know what I mean? I'm looking to bring a guy in April next year who's he's graduating in April as a doctor, but like he's a freak. Like he's trying to be an Olympian bobsledder, and
that's hectic.
And and he was one of the original ATG clients.
Wow.
And he's graduating as, you know, his 8 years of schooling to be a doctor. So that would check another one of those boxes, you know? So it's kind of like, if I, you know, it's almost a concept. Let's say me and you lived in the same town, right? And we're both trainers.
Yeah.
So it's almost the concept of, for every client you could get and for every client I could get, if we work together, we might actually get 3 clients. Do you see what I mean? Instead of just 2. So like that was my concept behind it. It's like, well,
and you went through that. You went through doing the whole thing by yourself, right? And you grinded for so damn long.
Yeah, exactly. And also, if the people around you believe in you, then it actually, so I consider there's different levels. And at one time I thought, oh, it's better to be a lone wolf, right? Don't tell people about your goals. And that's better than having people around you who don't truly believe in your goals, right?
Yeah.
So I used to think there was just like kind of 2 levels to it, right? Like people who don't believe in you, and then better than that is get the fuck away from them. And that's true. But the next level, the third level, the one you want to be at, is where you do have people around you. We have energy. You know, I mean, we're not just mud, you know, like we have energy that's very real there, and having people around you who really believe in you.
Totally.
So it's good to get people who have experienced that. So they're not just they're not just seeming nice to believe in you. Like they really believe.
Yeah, they really do.
And it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if you wanted to be a rugby player and your best friend was the #1 kite surfer in the world, because he would fucking believe that you can be great. You see what I mean? It doesn't.
Totally.
Right. So it's not just like a apples to apples thing. Just anyone who's really succeeding and being great at something, whether it's fitness related or not, those are good people around you, you know?
Yeah.
So that was the concept. And we've all been more successful by being able to flow energy to each other. And I really do believe, rather than one, even if it's just the 4 of us getting 5 clients instead of 4, you know what I mean? It's a better value, and we've made each other better, you know?
Yeah. I can't believe how fit Derek is.
Unbelievable. 43 years old.
That's insane. He's got like abs on abs, and Duncan.
And the truth is his only mistake is that business-wise, he doesn't actually really market that he's 43 years old. I think the only person who mentions that he's 43 is me.
Is you.
And I have to chloroform him and like take over his Instagram account and say, I'm 43 and I can do, you know, because otherwise people just assume he's in his 20s.
Totally. He looks young, man. It's insane.
Yeah. And you do have to look, if you have a good product, you also have to play the marketing side of it. So that's still his biggest weak link, is actually that he's not making enough people aware that he's 43.
Yeah.
And it's a big deal to inspire people that, of course, we're going to get older and die, but it doesn't have to be quite as downhill of a process as you think.
Yeah.
He's literally jumping. He had stopped dunking in his 30s and thought that was it. He's not the tallest guy, you know?
Yeah.
So some former basketball players are so tall that, you know, they can just keep dunking into their 50s. But for most guys, once it's like late 30, you know what I mean? Like once they stop dunking, like that's it.
Yeah.
Things are going to shit. So he came in as a client, had really nasty, plantar fasciitis, nasty Achilles tendonitis, nasty patellar tendonitis. And it was just kind of like, I just want to be able to keep getting around. You know what I mean? And now he's 43, 5 years later, dunking with ease.
So good.
And like, right. So that's also very inspiring. And to see what he was doing at that age, it tells me every day how good I'm going to be at 43. You know what I mean? It's an instant, not just a motivation, but an instant confidence booster. It's a certainty. You know, certainty doesn't come just from thinking it's going to happen. That's part of it for sure. But you got to actually kind of like see that shit happen. You know what I mean? And so to see what he's doing at 43 really boosts all our confidence, because now if we're saying, holy shit, these workouts are not just making us feel better and jump higher. It's making a 43-year-old turn back the clock. So that makes us feel really good. I mean, that makes me feel great about what I'm doing, because it's not like, you know, maybe 5 years ago I would have had to think to myself, now, wait a second. Is what the doctors are saying going to happen? That sure, it works now, but in 5 years my knees will spontaneously explode. You know what I mean? No, it's not fucking true at all. Look at Tom Platz, you know, the original sissy squat. He's now in his 60s with incredible mobility, can squat over 150 kilo ass to grass in his 60s, while his competitors are all having knee replacements. So, and he was the guy doing the thing that Athlete X says is the worst exercise you can do. Well, the worst exercise you can do is actually one of the reasons that he has the healthiest knees of all time for a bodybuilder. It's one of the reasons that Michael Jordan, he could fall in that position and spring back up when other guys, there's video of NBA player after NBA player tearing up knees, tearing ACLs, career-altering injuries. Michael Jordan landed in the same position and sprang right back up.
I saw
So
that.
what do I do if I can't hold that position? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Zlatan is 38 and can hold that position. So if I can't hold that position, and I do have weak knees and low vertical, and that's the worst exercise ever, then how the fuck am I going to get there?
Man, you've blown so many things like out of the water in the last couple of years. It's hilarious. Like you just take something and just like, fuck this. Like,
I mean,
this is bullshit.
Athlete X is in deep, deep shit. Cause you get in deep shit when you assume you know something that you're not willing to look at. So when you actually haven't lived something and then you assume it, you're cutting yourself off from learning. So he's either going to have to come around to what I'm saying, or he's really going to look like an ass, because how do you explain that? If that's the worst thing you can do, but the greatest athletes in the world can do that, what about the rest of us who don't have those great genetics? So are we just destined to be shit athletes forever? And I'm living proof that actually anyone can progress to doing what the greats can do. And guess what happens? You become a world-class athlete yourself. Yeah. So he's in deep shit. He can't dunk. He can't jump high. And he's saying publicly, with millions of views on this video, the worst exercise you can do. Yet there's no evidence behind what he's saying. He hasn't lived it himself. You know, that's fucking wrong.
He's talking about the KOT squat?
Yeah.
Yeah. Wow. I haven't seen it yet.
He's either going to have to admit he's wrong, or he's going to head down a much worse path. Because once you lie about one thing, and deep down, you know you fucking lied. You know you were wrong. Maybe you didn't lie, but you're just wrong.
Yeah.
I'm only good as a trainer because if I'm wrong, then I'm wrong. And I'm going to be the first person to say I'm wrong.
Totally.
Truth is truth. It has nothing to do with what I say. It's just true or not. Truth is not just an opinion. It's either true or it's not true.
Yeah.
And you can always dig down and see if something's true. And so he said something, and he made a video with millions of views discouraging people. And he happens to be wrong. So we'll see what he does on that.
Yeah, wow.
He was wrong. Will he admit he's wrong? Will he admit that what he said was not true? Or will he come around? And that'll say a lot about his character.
Yeah. How crazy is that? Man, there's so many people doing that. There's so many people that are just like deep dive on a subject that they don't know the answer to, but they feel like, you know, they want the reputation for being the person that knows, or like, yeah. Yep. And then it's just
cut you off from learning. Number one thing you do to not learn is to assume you know it when you don't.
Assumptions is the mother of all fuck-ups.
I patiently figure out if I actually know something or not. And I'm the first guy to take something out of the system. You know what I mean? I'm never – you can't cling to something you said in the past. You don't owe anyone shit. And in the field of exercise, if you're a trainer – let me just put this right there for any trainer out there. If you're a trainer, you don't owe anyone fucking shit, because you're in an exercise science system that is just in beginning baby stages, that doesn't know jack shit yet, that hasn't tested jack shit yet, hasn't tested strengthening knees over your toes, but has proof that the better you are in a step down and the better your ankle can bend, the less chance you have of knee pain and knee ligament tears. Well, put that fucking shit together and you got a Patrick step up. I don't know if you've seen that movie Idiocracy, but for anyone who has, my career is going to make a lot of sense, because I'm that character and I'm just like doing such obvious things because the system is trying to stand there gloriously. We've got it all figured out. And they don't want to admit when they don't have it figured out, which makes them even stupider. And so if you're a trainer, you really don't know anyone's shit, because there's nowhere you could have actually been trained and taught yet that you were actually taught all the truth that's out there. Collectively, we still have a lot to figure out and a lot to test collectively. It's not just me. All trainers, we still have a lot to get done on this subject.
Totally.
So by all means, if you figure out something and realize that something you said in the past, or some program you said in the past, or some post you made in the past was wrong, by all means, move on. You cannot criticize yourself. As a trainer, you cannot criticize yourself for anything you've done wrong, because the system is full of wrongs, full of rights too. But so you can't criticize for a wrong. You're just doing the best of your ability that you possibly can at that moment. And Athlete X was probably doing the best of his ability at that moment, but how he reacts when he realizes that it was untrue, that's what says something about you. And that's what's going to determine if you can actually become great and help a lot of people. Because just discouraging people from doing something is not going to help them. Yeah.
Man, I love that. That's awesome. We've covered a lot. I don't want to hold you too much longer. I feel like we could go all day.
For sure.
Where can people find more out about Ben and ATG?
Definitely Instagram is best, at Kneesovertoesguy, because
100 and something thousand followers, 102.
Yeah, just went over. So I did 100 of those deficit KOT squats right. And I had a video guy come shoot it. Yeah. And it took 6 fucking days for him to send it to me. I already had to fire him and get someone else. Like, I wasn't even asking for much. What? I didn't even need any. I just wanted something, So yeah. So, anyways, I was at 99,000, and I'm like, all right, let me get this shot so I can do a post saying thanks for 100K. So I did 100 KOTs for 100K. One of the hardest workouts I've ever done. 100 of those deficit KOTs. Oh man! And only yesterday did I finally get the video. I'm at 103,000, and I'll look like a fucking idiot posting. Thanks for 100K.
That's
6
so
days
good.
later.
That's so
good. I'm not even posting it. Wasted $1,000 on stuff I hired him to film. But fortunately, I mean, he's a Hollywood guy. He's used to, like, I don't know what he's used to, but it's an interesting lesson. You got to care about your clients, man. He did not care about me enough. He just didn't care about me enough. And now he's completely lost me as a client. And in Corona, it's very hard to get work. So he's going to be fucking on his ass now. And he would have had work for me for the next 5 months, man. So this young hustler chick who's really good came in, crushed it, already got me like some of my new videos done. She's editing as we speak, and I'll be able to keep ATG fam just getting amazing content. But Instagram is definitely a great place. You can send me a DM. You'll get under 24-hour response time. And anywhere else, I don't know if you'll reach me, but Instagram definitely. And then definitely being a client, I personally answer my clients, as you know, from listening to this. Yeah. Cool, man. Well, thank you so much for jumping on the podcast today and sharing your knowledge of wisdom. I love your passion. You're fired up as hell. It's good. It's nice to find other people that are like this. Yep. And that's why I appreciate you, because what I'm saying to 9 out of 10 people, I wouldn't even be able to get fired up talking about it. You know what I mean? Because they wouldn't be seeing it that way. So every person like you who even is willing to open your mind to this, that's how this, you know what I mean? That's how I came up with these things, because people like you and I were willing to have that open mind. So for me, it's huge. And I value every single person who's like willing to look, you know? Me too, man. I feel like it's such a sparse thing these days, you know, people that are just fired up and wanting to improve and be surrounded by other people and share their knowledge and wisdom and like give positive vibes. You know, there's too much negative shit in the world. We need more positive people
surrounding
the
us.
negativity just doesn't get us anywhere, even if
No.
you're justified in it.
Totally.
That's my whole. If someone said, "What's your number one rule of life?" I would say, no excuses ever for anything. Just try never ever having an excuse for anything.
Yeah.
You know, just try that. Try going a week, a month, no ever for anything.
Yeah.
You never end up complaining. You end up taking mad responsibility. You end up getting better at things, skills, more positive outlook. You end up like fucking taking charge of your life. So it's just like, it just doesn't, the negativity just doesn't help at all, you know?
I love that. It's a sick rule. That's cool.
Secret weapon. No excuses ever for anything. Try it.
All right. I'm going to get on that. Sweet, man. Well, thank you again. That applies
to your relationship too.
Shit.
I know. But I have an amazing relationship now because of that rule, honestly.
Yeah.
That's rule. Cool. Now I have an amazing relationship.
We just did a relationship course actually, which is really dope.
Oh, that's dope.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
It was really good. Learned a lot about each other.
That is so cool. Yeah. You got to pour energy on things that you want. You know what I mean?
Massively.
And when you just blame it and put the negativity, it's like the same reason. Let's just throw some ice and some painkiller on those knees, you know?
Totally.
You got to put, right. You can't just hide and shy away from the communication. You got to confront it. If you actually, like, if you really want it, you know, to work out, then short term, it may be more uncomfortable, but you can get to much higher places, man, if you actually put energy on what you want.
Absolutely. And like you were saying, we're playing the blame game so much. Like, you know, Odell's not doing enough work, or Odell's not doing this or that. And it's like, well, hang on a minute. It's not just Odell. Like, you know, I'm probably
even
doing
if you just take that, right. And even if someone is making a mistake, I'm telling you, if you just have the no excuse mindset, you still end up making it go right.
Yeah.
Like, it's still a better way. Like, it's not even about whether, like, that's the thing about the no excuse rule. It's not about whether you're justified in it or not. And that has nothing to do with it. The accuracy has nothing to do with it. The rightest people in the world are fucking homeless now, and they were right about every failed business and every failed and they've righted their way out of society. It's not about whether you're right or not. It's about the attitude of whether you're going to make things go right. You know what I mean? We're all full of mistakes, and it's so easy, even if it seems more obvious or this or that, it's so easy to play the blame game for sure, man.
Yeah.
I wish I had understand this earlier in my relationship, and I'm lucky that we didn't, you know, I'm lucky that we made it to now, because now we understand this and it's so much easier.
Yeah.
So start of it, podcast 2. Now we're talking about relationships for the next hour. And honestly, that would be a good one. That would be a good one. I've been with my wife 10 years. Yeah. I got with her when I was 19. Only serious relationship I've had. So I just made that shit work. Just never going to give up on it.
That's
First
awesome.
week I told her my goal is that we're going to get married and have kids, you know, and now 10
Surprised she didn't run away.
I know. I was like, look, that's
like,
I'm like, look, if we're going to
do this,
if we're going to do this, like, the end goal is marriage and kids. I told her that week 1 when I was 19.
Oh man, that's the formula. That's great. That's so good.
Anyways, I'll let you go as well.
Yeah, man. Pleasure talking to you. I'll let you know when it all comes out, and I'll shoot you an email with the videos and whatnot. And
epic. Yeah, I'll post on my story, and I'll do a swipe up so it can reach all my followers and stuff.
Sweet, man. That'd be dope. All right, dude.
Enjoy
Enjoy LA.
Day.
You too, man.
Thank you, brother.
See ya.
See ya.